The ship that came from the stars was not like anything humanity had ever seen before. It appeared above Earth's orbit on a Tuesday morning, silent and massive, blocking out part of the sun as it hung in the black sky. Within minutes, every telescope on the planet was pointed at it. Within an hour, every news station in the world was showing the same images. The ship was called the Vethrian vessel, and it sent a message in perfect English. "We come to speak with your leaders." Commander Tae-hyun Park stood in the observation deck of Luna Station, the largest human settlement on the moon. He was a tall man with sharp eyes and a calm face that showed very little emotion, no matter what happened around him. He had spent his entire life in the military, rising through the ranks until he became the head of the United Earth Defense Force. Now, at 53 years old, he was about to do something no human had ever done before. He was going to meet an alien being. Beside him stood Lieutenant Hana Kim, one of the smartest officers in the entire Defense Force. She was younger than Tae-hyun by about 20 years, with dark hair pulled back tightly and a serious look on her face. Next to her was Dr. Junho Lee, a scientist who had studied space and the possibility of alien life for his entire career. He wore thick glasses and had a notebook in his hand, where he wrote down everything he saw. "They are waiting," Tae-hyun said quietly, his eyes still fixed on the Vethrian ship that floated just outside the station's windows. "I am not sure we are ready for this," Hana said. "We do not know what they want or why they are here. They could destroy us all with a single attack." "If they wanted to destroy us, they would have already done it," Junho said, adjusting his glasses. "The fact that they are here, speaking to us, means they want something. They want to talk." The three of them made their way through the corridors of Luna Station toward the meeting room that had been prepared. It was a neutral space, not too large and not too small, with a table in the center and chairs on both sides. The walls were white and empty, with nothing that could be seen as a weapon or a threat. When the Vethrian ambassador entered the room, the first thing everyone noticed was that he looked almost human. He had 2 arms, 2 legs, a head, and a face. His skin was a pale blue color, and his eyes were large and black like pools of water. His name was Kale, and he was very old for his species, which meant he had seen many things and knew many secrets. "I am Ambassador Kale," the being said, his voice smooth and clear. "I represent the Vethrian Empire, a civilization that has traveled the stars for millions of your years. We have come to Earth to test you." "Test us?" Tae-hyun asked. His voice did not shake, even though his heart was beating very fast inside his chest. "Yes," Kale said. He sat down in one of the chairs, and he gestured for them to do the same. "We have observed your species for a long time. You are young, and you are violent. You destroy your own world and kill your own people. Yet somehow you survive. Somehow you grow stronger. We wish to know if you are strong enough to join the greater galaxy, or if you will destroy yourselves before you can become a real threat to the peace." Junho leaned forward with great interest. "What kind of test?" he asked. Kale smiled, though it was not a smile that made anyone feel happy or safe. "We will show you our most lethal weapon. We will show you what we can do, and then you will understand your place in the universe." The next day, Tae-hyun, Hana, and Junho stood in a special viewing chamber. Through the thick glass, they could see a small moon that orbited in the distance. It was called Kepler 7, and it had been chosen because no life lived on it. No humans, no animals, nothing at all. It was just a ball of rock in space. Kyle stood beside them. "Watch," he said simply. A beam of light came down from the Vethrian ship. It was not a laser or a simple beam of energy. It was something far more complex. The beam touched the surface of Kepler 7, and immediately the moon began to change. The surface started to break down and fall apart, not from fire or explosion, but from something that ate into the rock itself. The beam moved across the moon's face like a painter's brush, and everywhere it touched, the moon began to die. Within minutes, half of the moon was covered in a sickly green color. Within an hour, the entire surface was wrong and ugly, covered in something that looked like a disease. Hana turned away, unable to watch anymore. Junho's face had gone pale behind his glasses. "This is a biological weapon," Kyle explained, his voice still calm and peaceful. "We call it the dissolution. It is a living thing, a form of life that consumes everything it touches. It will destroy any world, any population, any civilization that we choose to erase. It is, simply, death. It is the most perfect weapon ever created." He turned to look at Tai-hyun directly. "This is what we can do. This is the power we hold. Now you understand what it means to face the Vethrian Empire. This is why you should surrender now and accept a peaceful place in our order." Tae-hyun was quiet for a very long time. He watched the green substance continue to spread across Kepler-7. He thought about Earth, about all the people living there. He thought about his sister Soo-jin, who was a doctor back on the home world. He thought about Admiral Dae-jung-choi, his oldest friend, who was waiting for him to come home with news. Then Tae-hyun turned to look at Ambassador Kyle. There was no fear in his face. There was no surrender in his eyes. "That is very impressive," Tae-hyun said slowly. "Tell me, Ambassador, how much does that weapon cost? And more importantly, can we buy that in bulk?" Kale's large black eyes went wide with surprise. Hana's mouth opened, but she said nothing. Junho began to smile and then to laugh quietly behind his hand. I do not understand," Kyle said. "Did you not see what we just showed you?" "I saw it," Tae-hyun replied, and now there was something dangerous in his voice. "I saw the most perfect solution to several problems my species has been facing. So I am asking you, in all seriousness, what is your price, and when can we take delivery?" In that moment, everything changed. The Vethrian ambassador realized that humanity was not the scared, simple species he had believed them to be. They did not fear weapons. They saw opportunities. And that, he understood, was far more dangerous than fear could ever be. The emergency meeting took place in a secret underground bunker 300 meters below the surface of the Earth. The room was called the War Room, though it had been empty and quiet for so long that dust had settled on the conference table. Now, every major leader of the world was there, connected through secure video links. The President of the United Nations was there. The leader of the Asian Coalition was there. The head of the African Federation was there. Military generals, government officials, and scientists filled the room and the screens. Commander Tae-hyun Park stood at the head of the table and explained everything. He told them about the Vethrian ship, about Ambassador Kyle, and about the weapon that could destroy entire worlds. But most importantly, he told them about his question. When he finished, the room was silent for a very long time. "You asked them to sell us a genocide weapon?" the UN president said slowly. "On behalf of all humanity, you asked them to sell us a tool for mass destruction?" "Yes," Tae-hyun said simply, "and they have agreed to discuss terms." Admiral Dae-jung-choi, Tae-hyun's oldest friend, stood up. He was a large man with gray hair and a scarred face that showed he had lived a hard life. "The commander is right," he said loudly. "We need to listen to what he has to say before anyone passes judgment. Tae-hyun has never steered us wrong before." Tae-hyun nodded to his old friend. Then he gestured, and Soo-jin Park appeared on the main screen. She was calling in from her office in Seoul, where she worked as a doctor and ran the Earth Health Organization. She was Tae-hyun's younger sister, though she looked older because she had lived a life of worry and work. "Soo-jin will explain the situation," Tae-hyun said. Soo-jin took a deep breath and began to speak. Her voice was tired but firm. "The Earth is dying," she said bluntly. "Our population has reached 12 billion people. Our resources are not enough for so many. The forests are being cut down. The oceans are being poisoned. The air is becoming toxic. We have maybe 50 years, perhaps less, before the entire system collapses completely. At that point, not just some people will die, all people will die. Civilization will end." She paused to let this sink in. "The governments of Earth have been trying to solve this problem for 50 years. We have failed. The solutions we have tried have not worked. Some nations do not want to stop growing their populations. Some people do not want to give up their way of life. Some countries do not want to follow the rules that other countries make." "What are you suggesting?" asked the President of Europe, a woman named Marta, who was known for being very moral and very principled. It was Hannah Kim who answered this question. She appeared on another screen, calling from Luna Station. "We need to reduce the world population," she said. "Not through war, not through starvation, not through disease that spreads randomly. We need to reduce it in a controlled way. The Vethrian weapon could do this." "You want to use it as a genocide tool," Marta said. Her voice was cold. "You want to kill people, millions of people." "Billions," Sujin corrected. "We need to reduce Earth's population from 12 billion to about 4 billion. That is the maximum that the planet can support in a healthy way." "That is insane," another world leader said. "That is the most evil plan I have ever heard." But Dae-jung stood up again. "Let me tell you what is evil," he said angrily. "Evil is watching your entire civilization collapse. Evil is knowing that in 50 years, your children will starve to death because we were too moral and too weak to make the hard choices. Evil is letting everyone die when we could have saved some. That is evil." The room exploded into argument. People were shouting and talking over each other. Some leaders said they would never agree to such a plan. Others said that they had no choice. Some said the whole thing was madness. Some said it was the only way to survive. Finally, the UN president raised his hand, and slowly the room became quiet again. "If we do this," he said, "we need to be careful about who dies. We cannot kill randomly. We need to target the places where violence is highest, where governments have failed, where the most suffering already exists." 17 nations, Dr. Junho said, and now he was joining the meeting from his laboratory. "There are 17 nations that are completely unstable. They are filled with violence and war. They produce nothing but chaos and death. If we could reduce the population in just these places, it would solve most of our problems without affecting the rest of the world." "You want to commit genocide against 17 nations, Marta said. "That is what you are proposing." "No," Taehyun said. "We are proposing to save the world. Those 17 nations are already dying. Their people are already suffering. We are simply choosing to end that suffering, and in doing so, to save everyone else." The debate continued for many hours. Slowly, carefully, a plan began to form. It was not a plan that anyone was proud of. It was not a plan that anyone could admit to in public, but it was a plan that seemed like the only way forward. By the end of the day, the decision had been made. Earth would purchase the Vethrian weapon. Earth would store it in secret facilities hidden from the public. When the time was right, when the population crisis became critical, they would use it on the 17 unstable nations. Most of the people in those nations would die, but the rest of the world would be saved. It was a terrible plan. It was a plan that would haunt every person involved for the rest of their lives. But it was the plan they chose. Hannah Kim felt sick when the vote was taken. She watched the numbers appear on the screen. Vote after vote for the plan. Vote after vote to commit genocide. Only 7 nations voted against it. Only 7 leaders said no. After the meeting ended, Hannah found herself alone in her office on Luna Station. She pulled up images of the 17 nations on her screen. She saw pictures of cities and villages. She saw children playing in the streets. She saw families eating dinner together. She saw life, real and precious and beautiful life. And she knew that if the plan went forward, all of it would be erased. She did not know yet what she would do about it. She did not know yet whether she would go along with the plan or fight against it. But she knew that her life had just changed forever, in a way that could never be changed back. The orbital platform above Luna was a large structure made of steel and special materials that could survive in the harsh environment of space. It had been built over many years by many countries working together. Now it served as a meeting place and a trading station for the first contact between humanity and an alien civilization. Commander Tae-hyun Park stood in the main hangar of the platform. Around him, machines and workers moved carefully and slowly. This was the day of the transaction. This was the day when humanity would officially take possession of the Vethrian weapon. Ambassador Kyle stood across from him, his blue skin looking almost gray in the artificial light of the hangar. Behind Kale were several Vethrian technicians who operated the equipment that was bringing the weapon samples down from the ship in space. "The price we have agreed to is acceptable?" Kale asked. His voice still had that smooth quality, but now there was something else in it, something like doubt. "More than acceptable," Tae-hyun said. He did not smile, but his voice was calm. "You are giving us the future of our species. Of course the price is acceptable." Kyle nodded slowly. "I must tell you something," he said. "My superiors are concerned about this transaction. They worry that humanity is too young, too wild, too unpredictable to handle such power. They wonder if we are making a mistake." "Are they correct?" Tae-hyun asked. "I do not know," Kale said honestly. "But I suppose we will find out soon enough." The first container arrived. It was a large metal box, covered in warning symbols and strange markings that indicated its deadly contents. Special robotic arms carefully moved it into the secure storage facility at the center of the platform. Everything was being recorded on video. Everything was being measured and tested, but something was wrong. Hana Kim, who was watching from the control room, noticed it first. The temperature reading on one of the containers was fluctuating. It was going up and down in a way that did not seem normal. "Commander," she said into the communication device, "we have a problem." Tae-hyun's expression did not change. "What kind of problem?" "The second container," Hana said. "The temperature is unstable. I think there might be a crack in the seal." Almost immediately, alarms began to sound in the hangar. The workers moved back quickly away from the containers. The robotic arms stopped moving. Everything became very still and very quiet. Then the second container began to leak. At first it was just a small amount of green liquid dripping from the bottom of the box, but then the crack grew bigger. The green liquid became more and more until it was flowing like a stream. And where the liquid touched the metal floor of the platform, the metal began to dissolve. "Evacuate!" Tae-hyun shouted. "Everyone evacuate the hangar now!" People ran toward the exits. The Vethrian technicians moved faster than any human, their bodies seeming to almost blur as they fled. Ambassador Kale stood motionless for a moment, watching the green substance spread across the floor. Tae-hyun grabbed Kyle and pulled him toward the emergency exit. "We have to go," he said. "Yes," Kyle said. "You are right. We must go." The two of them made it through the exit, just as the hangar doors began to seal. Behind them, the green substance continued to spread, consuming everything it touched. Metal dissolved. Equipment broke down. In just a few minutes, the entire hangar was covered in the green color of the Vethrian weapon. In the control room, Hana was coordinating the evacuation. Dr. Jun-ho was beside her, running tests on the atmosphere of the platform. His face was very pale. "The contagion is spreading through the ventilation system," he said quietly. "It is moving toward the rest of the platform." Hana's hands moved quickly over the controls. She was making a decision that no one person should ever have to make. She activated the emergency protocols that would seal off the contaminated section and prevent the weapon from spreading to the rest of the station. But she knew what that meant. It meant that anyone who was still in the hangar was going to die. "Is anyone still in there?" she asked desperately. One of the workers checked the records. "2 maintenance technicians," he said. "They did not make it to the exit in time." Hannah closed her eyes for just a moment. Then she pulled the emergency shutdown switch. The doors slammed shut with a sound like thunder. The hangar was sealed. The 2 maintenance workers were dead. Above the platform, on the Vethrian ship, alarms were also sounding. Kyle made his way to the command center, and what he saw there disturbed him greatly. The second container had been damaged during the transfer process. A small manufacturing defect had created a weakness in the seal. The weapon had leaked out exactly as it had at the platform. But here was the strange thing. On the Vethrian ship, where the weapon had spread, it only affected certain areas. The green substance consumed some materials, but not others. It spread through some sections of the ship, but not through others. A senior officer approached Kale. "Ambassador," the officer said, "we must inform you of something important. The weapon that was damaged was not random. We designed the second container to fail in exactly this way." Kale looked at the officer with shock. "What are you saying?" "We are saying that this was a test," the officer explained. "The Vethrian Empire sent us here with instructions. If the humans asked to purchase the weapon, we were to include a hidden failsafe. We designed the weapon to spread only to certain species, to certain genetic codes. If humans were to try to use this weapon against others, it would not work. It would only kill those who carry the genetic markers that we programmed into it." "You mean to say that the humans cannot actually use this weapon on whomever they choose?" Kale asked. "That is exactly what we mean to say," the officer confirmed. "We have given them a tool that appears to be unlimited power, but it is not. It is limited. It is controlled, and the only ones who control it are us." Back on the platform, Tae-hyun and Hana made this same discovery at almost the same moment. Dr. Junho, examining the dead weapon with every instrument they had, found the genetic code hidden within it. He ran the analysis again and again, hoping that he was wrong. But he was not wrong. "The weapon only kills people with specific genetic markers," he told Tae-hyun, his voice shaking. "It will not work on most of the 17 nations we targeted. It will only work on a few specific populations. We have been tricked. The Vethrians have given us a weapon that we cannot actually use." Tae-hyun felt something hard and angry rise up inside his chest. The Vethrians had played them. They had taken Earth's darkest desires and used them against the planet. And worst of all, they had revealed that Earth was willing to commit genocide. They had shown the galaxy that humanity was not just young and wild and unpredictable. Humanity was evil. The secret underground bunker was filled with argument and confusion. Every screen showed angry faces, upset leaders, and military generals who were shouting at each other. Tae-hyun had explained the situation, and the response had been immediate and terrible. "We must destroy the weapon," the UN president was saying. "We must burn it and kill it and make sure it can never be used again." "We cannot destroy it," Admiral Dae-jung Choi said loudly. "We paid for it. We purchased it. It belongs to us now." "But we cannot use it," another leader said. "The Vethrians have made sure of that. They have put a lock on it that only they can open." "Then we find a way to break their lock," a general said. He was a hard man with cold eyes who had spent his entire career preparing for war. "We have the best scientists on Earth. We can reverse engineer this weapon. We can remove the failsafe. We can make it work the way we intended." This suggestion caused even more argument. Some leaders agreed that they should try to crack the weapon's secrets. Other leaders said that this would be even more dangerous, even more evil than before. Su Jin appeared on the screens again. She had been quiet during much of the argument, but now she spoke. "My brother is wrong," she said. "Tae-hyun made a mistake when he asked to buy this weapon. I did not say so at the time because I was afraid to speak against him. But I have been thinking about this constantly since the accident on the platform. I have come to understand that we cannot walk down this path. If we do, we will become monsters. And I would rather see the world die naturally than have my species become monsters." "So you want us to destroy it?" the UN president asked hopefully. "Yes," Su Jin said. "I want us to destroy every sample. I want us to forget that this weapon ever existed. And I want us to find another way to solve our problems." "There is no other way," Dae-jung said sadly. "We have tried every other way. There is no solution that saves everyone. We have to accept that some people will have to die." "Maybe that is true," Su Jin said. "But it has to be their choice. We do not get to choose for them. We do not get to decide which groups of people live and which die. That is the line that separates civilization from barbarism. If we cross that line, we can never go back." The argument continued for many more hours. In the end, Tae-hyun made a decision that shocked everyone. He stood up and looked directly into the camera. "I will not be part of this," he said. "I will not help to crack the fail-safe. I will not use this weapon against any population, and if anyone tries to do so, I will stop them, by force if necessary." "You would betray Earth?" a general asked, shocked. "I would save Earth's soul," Tae-hyun replied. But not everyone agreed with him. Su Jin announced that she was taking charge of a new project. She said that Earth scientists would study the weapon, learn from it, and find a way to remove the Vetherian restrictions. She said that humanity could not be controlled by aliens. She said that Earth must be free. Hana Kim heard this news while she was still on Luna Station. She sat alone in her office and wept. She knew what was coming. She knew that if Su Jin was given the time and resources, she would eventually succeed. The fail-safe would be broken. The weapon would become truly usable. And then Earth would have to make the decision all over again, but this time without any excuse, this time without any claim that they were being forced or tricked. She made a decision. She would stop it. She would sabotage Su Jin's research. She would destroy the weapon samples. She would do whatever it took to prevent humanity from becoming what Tae-hyun feared. Hana began to gather allies. She went to officers she trusted. She went to scientists who shared her moral concerns. She went to soldiers who believed in protecting innocent life. Slowly, carefully, she built a team. They met in secret. They planned in whispers. They prepared for what they would have to do. On Earth, Su Jin worked day and night in her laboratory. Her team was brilliant. They made progress faster than anyone expected. Within weeks, they had uncovered part of the genetic code that controlled the failsafe. Within months, they believed they were close to breaking it completely. But Su Jin was also thinking. She was considering what her brother had said. She was questioning herself constantly. Was she trying to save humanity, or was she trying to destroy it? One night, she sat alone with her research, and she made a realization. She could break the failsafe. She knew how to do it now. She had all the knowledge she needed. But she did not want to. Deep down, in a place that she had been trying to hide from herself, she did not want to create a weapon that could kill billions of people. She began, very quietly, to destroy her own research. She deleted files. She burned records. She prepared false reports that said the research was going nowhere. She made it look like they had failed to break the code. At the same time, she arranged for the weapon samples to be destroyed. Not all at once, where it would be obvious, but slowly, carefully, where it would seem like accidents and normal storage procedures. It took her 3 months to do this work. By the time she was finished, there was almost nothing left of the Vetherian weapon on Earth. The last sample was the most important one, the one that contained the most complete genetic code information. She prepared to destroy it herself, in person, in a secret location. But then Hana arrived. Hana had been planning a raid on Sujin's facility for weeks. She had gathered her team. She had weapons and explosives prepared. She was ready to destroy everything by force. When she entered the laboratory where Sujin was working, she saw something unexpected. Sujin was holding a container of the weapon. She was holding it over a burning fire, and she was about to drop it. The two women looked at each other. No words were spoken for a long moment. Then Sujin smiled, and she let the container fall into the flames. "I am glad you came," Sujin said. "I wanted to make sure that someone witnessed this. I wanted proof that we chose to destroy this, rather than use it." "Why did you change your mind?" Hana asked. "Because my brother was right," Sujin said. "And because you believed in something more than power. You believed in something more than survival. You believed in something better. And I realized that belief is what makes us human." Hana embraced Sujin, and the two women stood together and watched the last of the Vethrian weapon burn and disappear forever. The Vethrian ship hung above the earth, waiting for word from Commander Taehyun about the weapon. But no word came. Days passed, then weeks. Ambassador Kyle began to grow concerned. He sent messages asking for updates, but the responses he received were always unclear and delayed. Finally, Taehyun requested a meeting. He came to the Vethrian ship alone, which was a bold and dangerous move. Kyle received him in a large chamber that was designed to be peaceful and neutral. The walls displayed images of stars and planets, all different and all beautiful in their own ways. "The weapon is gone," Taehyun said without any introduction or greeting. "We have destroyed every sample. We have burned every scrap of the Vethrian biological weapon." Kyle was silent for a very long time. His large black eyes were unreadable. "You are telling me that you purchased a weapon at great expense and then destroyed it without using it." "That is exactly what I am telling you," Taehyun said. "Why would you do such a thing?" Kyle asked. "It does not make logical sense." "Because we are not the species you thought we were," Taehyun said. He reached into his jacket and pulled out a data drive. He placed it on the table between them. "Inside this drive is everything we learned about your weapon. We have studied it completely. We understand how it works. We understand the genetic code that controls it. We understand the failsafe that you built into it." Kyle looked at the data drive with great interest. "You understood our security measures?" "Within weeks of the accident, yes," Taehyun said. "Dr. Jun Ho is one of the greatest scientists our species has ever produced. He found the hidden code almost immediately. He showed us that you did not trust us with real power. You showed us that you were afraid of what we might do." "We were right to be afraid," Kale said quietly. "You wanted to use our weapon to commit genocide. You wanted to kill billions of your own people." "Yes," Taehyun admitted. "We did. We made a plan to do exactly that, but then we changed our minds." "Why?" Kyle asked with genuine confusion. "Your world was dying. Your population was too large. The plan would have worked. It would have saved your species." "Because some things matter more than survival," Taehyun said. "We realized that if we used your weapon, we would no longer be human in any meaningful sense. We would have become the thing that we are most afraid of. We would have become a species that kills for convenience, and we decided that death with honor was better than survival with shame." Kyle stood up and walked to the wall where the images of planets were displayed. He was quiet for a very long time. "I must tell you something," he finally said. "Your species was not the first to be tested with the weapon. Many species have received similar offers throughout the galaxy. Some of them have accepted. Some have even used the weapon to solve their problems." "What happened to them?" Taehyun asked. "They died," Kale said. "Not physically, but something inside them died. They became empty shells, going through the motions of life, but feeling nothing. They had destroyed part of themselves when they destroyed their enemies, and eventually they destroyed themselves completely. Kyle turned to look at Taehyun again. But you did not use the weapon. Even though you understood it, even though you could have used it without our knowledge or permission, you chose not to. This has never happened before. Then I hope you will believe me when I tell you the truth, Taehyun said. We are a species worth saving. Not because we are strong, and not because we are weak, but because we have the capacity to choose what is right, even when it is hard, even when it costs us everything. Kyle reached out and took the data drive. He held it carefully, as if it might break if he held it too tightly. This information, Kyle said, is a security risk to the Vethrian Empire. If other species learned how to break our failsafe, they could use the weapon without restriction. That is why I brought it to you in person, Taehyun said. I wanted you to know that we could have kept this secret. We could have used this knowledge to become powerful, but we are choosing to give it to you instead. We are trusting you with the most dangerous thing our species knows. Why would you trust us? Kyle asked. After what we did to you? Because that is the only way forward, Taehyun said. You tested us. You showed us your weapons. You tried to control us. But in the end, you treated us with respect. You gave us the chance to prove ourselves. Not all species would do that. Not all powerful civilizations would take that risk. Kyle looked at the data drive again. Then, to Taehyun's complete shock, he threw it into a recycling machine at the side of the room. The device hummed to life, and the data drive was broken down into component parts and destroyed forever. What did you do? Taehyun asked, stunned. I destroyed it, Kyle said simply. Because you are right. If you were wise enough to give me this information, then you are wise enough to keep it secret without me having to control you. Humanity is ready to join the greater galaxy, not as a servant species, but as an equal. Taehyun could not speak for a moment. Then he said, What will we tell the Vethrian government? You will tell them that humanity met our test, Kale said. You will tell them that you are prepared to share your medical and biological knowledge with the rest of the galaxy. In exchange, we will share our technology and our wisdom with you. And we will do something that we have never done before. What is that? Taehyun asked. We will lift the restrictions on your development, Kale said. You will be free to advance at your own pace, to make your own mistakes, and to find your own path. You will be free because you proved that you could be trusted with freedom. Taehyun felt tears forming in his eyes. Thank you, he said simply. No, Kyle said. Thank you. You have shown me something I had forgotten in my millions of years of life. You have shown me that the young species, the ones we think are wild and dangerous and unpredictable, are sometimes more wise than we are. You have reminded me why I became a diplomat in the first place. You have given me hope again. The two of them stood together in the chamber, filled with images of stars and planets. And for the first time, they stood as equals.